And hello again, this is Talamere here with another repair video. This one we're working on an iPhone 11. It is just a battery replacement being done on this occasion. I'm going to walk you through the steps on how exactly I do this one. Here is what we got for our battery. As you can see, it says service, and there it's at 76%. Definitely needs to be replaced. So let's heat up this phone first. Alright, I'm taking off the heater. The heater was at 90 degrees Celsius. I don't know what that is in Fahrenheit. I'll put it in the screen in Fahrenheit for you. I've had it on for maybe about 5, maybe 6 minutes, something like that. I like to stick a little, this is just a little number 17 chisel blade. I like to pop that into there, right where the port is. And then I just take a drop of isopropyl alcohol, 99%. I think 90 would also do. You just put it in that gap. But it sure is great for getting that alcohol on in there. And I just keep pumping it until it shows a little bit of a gap. Then either I pop a nail in or one of these little guitar tabs or pry tools, whatever you want to call these guys. And you just go on down the sides. One of the easiest screens to get open is almost any iPhone series. Like the 11s and back, iPhone 11 and back are so nice to get apart. And I'm just going to pull this slightly to the side. You put a little bit of alcohol in there, a little bit of alcohol in there. Just wiggle it back and forth a little. And then just gently, just keep on moving it till it comes free. Now the very first thing that you're going to want to do is get this plate up first. So this right here is Y-tip 000. So now you're just going to take this little guy. Now I usually use my nail. You may be better off using like a spudger or one of these plastic things. I think that'll work too. I don't usually do that. I just use my nail. Now for these other ones, I prefer to use my tweezers. It is probably not the best because there are sometimes capacitors, but as far as I know, there isn't any small components that are directly close to there. But you could use this and just pry that up with that. It will work, but I find that it is so much more accurate to do using the tweezers. Just get right underneath there. No? This one's really stuck on there. Always is. There we go. Use my nail. If you're doing this yourself and you're wanting to get into the business of it, you do need to have something like this. This thing's, I can't remember what it's called, but it's great for removing glue, and it's really great for removing seals. Put a few drops of alcohol on there. You just go around the edge and get any little gunk that's in there. So next, you need to take the Taptic motor out, which means you got to take this little guy off here. You just stick your tweezers underneath, give it a pull, and then stick it somewhere safe and try to remember to put it back on afterwards. Now this uses a Phillips all the way through, so the one I'm using right here is a PH000. I'm not sure, maybe you can see it there. Now technically you don't need to remove this Taptic motor, but it sure does make life a lot easier if you can remove it. And then you're going to get this out. Now this is really, like, be careful. Do it on the right side, not the left. There's tiny little either like a resistor or maybe a capacitor on that side, and you don't want to pull that away. So just get that little guy out. There we go. Now I just pull it out like this. Do not put this near your screws. It will pick your screws up. So all you got left now is you got these little tabs that hold the battery in. That's the glue that's holding it in place. And these things are really frustrating to work with. But what I do is I take my tweezers and I just slowly peel this up. So there's a few ways to do this. I can use my thumb and my pointer finger to get it out and do that. Another way that I like to do it is I have pliers here, very small pliers, and you can just take that, wrap it around a few times, and then you just pull a little bit, and then do not like let it do it all at its own. You're going to want to put your thumb down, and then you're going to just put a little bit of pressure with your tweezers, and as you're doing that, just push down with your thumb towards the silver part of the metal in the back. And the reason why you're doing it like that is because the metal can tear it. So you're just using it to slowly get it on out. It is not coming down out easy. There we go, came out nice and clean. That doesn't always happen. Alright, for this particular tab, it is a bit difficult. You might want to put your tweezers down there and just try to coax it out some more. What I do is I just hold on to it with my fingers, and then I pull it over to the side like this. If you try to pull it back right here, it will break. And that's a painful spot to have it to break. So you pull it to the side like that, towards where the other tabs were, and you're going to do the same thing as you did with the others. You're going to push down, just like that. There, half the battery's done. Now this side is annoying. You got these, you can't really see them very well, but there is a little bit of a bit of tape that holds these in place. You can get your tweezers just behind here, and you just want to wiggle it. I usually end up breaking them. These are really annoying. But yeah, if you're really careful, you can just peel it up like that. And I switch to my pliers. Get yourself a good pair of pliers if you're going to be doing this regularly. And then you can just lift up. There, maybe I'm going to get lucky on this one. So I'm holding on to it. There we go. That one's really tiny though. That one's rinse and repeat. So with this one, I broke it. The tab has been broken away. I'm not going to have anything to hold on to. So I got to go and pull this little bit down here. There we go. You're going to grab onto that with your tweezers, with your pliers, once again. And remember, you've got those cameras there. Be careful. So all I'm going to do is I'm just going to press down and pull with my right hand, just like that. There we are. There we go, smooth as butter. It looks like I did miss one. It's on that side. It's something on this side, so it looks like all good. I'm happy to be able to show you the annoyance of this. I am going to have to put some alcohol down. So you can see if I put a little bit in there. I don't know how many milliliters, but put a little bit. Then you're just going to let it soak in there a little bit. You got to remember that this is a liquid. It's traveling downwards, so you just kind of want to let it sit there for a moment and then just pry lightly. There you go. Free! We need to start disassembling this battery. Next, you got this little thing right here. If it doesn't come free easily, you can put a little drop of alcohol on both sides, but it usually comes free. This little shield comes free pretty easily. I usually end up throwing it out. I've found that quite often it doesn't really fit in afterwards. So here as well, there is a little bit of adhesive behind. So you just want to put a couple of drops just in behind there to get it loose. And then you can start just loosening it up. If you need to, you can be careful in doing this, but just very lightly just lever that board up and away from all that sticky tape. If you break this board, what we're doing right now, it's the end. So be careful. You'll end up having to throw in an unknown battery. You don't want to do that. That's coming off quite nicely. So what I'm doing right now is I'm taking my nail and I'm just putting it right up against that battery terminal, and I'm just pulling it away very, very carefully, because this is actually folded. It's folded in on itself. And the actual welds are hidden behind those metal plates. So at this point, what I have to do is I need to disconnect these from the board. So what I do is I take my grinding pen, I just grind right through those spot welds, and it comes right away. There you go. So I'm just going to take my grinding pen and I'm going to grind off the remainder of the metal there, and then we can get on to the next part. I've cleaned off all of those little bits. Even with doing this, using the grinding pen to go and clean it up, you still, regardless of whether you'd use it or not, are going to need to go and use some pliers just to straighten these little guys out. So the other thing I like to do is I measure up to see the difference in size between the two. You're remembering also where these were. They were on top like this, you know. And you're trying to see whether or not you need to trim these down. Watch that I've trimmed this, and now it's going to be too short. Yeah, it looks fine. I think I still got plenty. You know what? Before I go and I weld this back on there, this stuff here should go back in the phone. So let's put it back in so that you just have it out of the way. You want to line that little guy up, and once that's aligned, it should just line itself up on its own. You just press down lightly, and it will snap right back in. Usually I end up having to use pliers to get this aligned. Don't tighten these screws too much. I wouldn't say it's finger tight exactly, but now for getting this all soldered together. Put this on top there. So you put one down here first. Now if your tips are dirty, it will not make a good connection. So you down there, make sure your tips do not connect. A couple more times, and same here. There we go. Now why is this not good enough? Well, from my experience, very often those are not good enough. I had put this one right here, so get one of them right there on there. You're trying to line them up as close as possible. Press, move on, press, move on. Come on. All I'm doing is eyeballing it. This may not be great for you guys. It always works well for me. But it looks good and solid. Nice. So all we gotta do now is just fold them back up. Now all I'm doing is I'm taking my fingernail, my thumb, and I'm pushing down towards and up with my index finger and folding them back down. There we go. You need to use a unknown battery. This is a battery from another iPhone 11, and you need something basically to make the phone identify it as being an unknown part. Let's put in that unknown battery. You go in there, you see where it says there, important battery message. And you don't pull the plug on this. You want to go and turn it off. Now for the battery, the new battery. There's something you must do first. You're going to have to flatten this bit out here. This part kind of I found very fiddly the first time around I did this. You got to bend this down like that. And then you're going to flip this. You're going to bend this carefully as you can. You only want to have to do this once after all. You're bending it down like that. You see? Then I'm taking this little guy here, and you're going to put it right there. So it's like this. So that's snapped into place quite nicely. And you just bend it up. Like that. Then you bend this butt down here. There you go. So step one in finishing this battery off. I'm going to go and pull this back out. Be careful. Now you can put this stuff down and just stick that on down. Wrap it around. Just like that. That's step one complete. So this is a little bit of last bit of tape that you put on to cover the terminal over. What I like to do is I just cover down the bottom, excuse me, like this, flip it on over, maybe just put a little bit higher. There you go. Get rid of the other part of the adhesive backing, pull it on down, put it on the back there. There we go. Nice and clean. Now let's get this little guy back in there. Find the easiest way is just to use the tweezers. You line it on up, and you push it on down. Here's the adhesive that came with the battery. First, you're flipping the battery over. You're lining this bit up here. So you're going to flip this over, and then you're going to remove these. Then you're just lining it up, good as you possibly can. Flop it on down, and then just rub those on. Should change color like that. Just wrap those little tabs over the top. Same thing with these. There we go. Done. Ain't that nice? Now you're going to place it on in. I like to connect the battery first for this bit. You really want to make sure that it's lining up correctly. And then when you're sure it's lined up correctly, then you can let it drop down in. Press it down. Now at this point, I need to pop the battery back up. Just the connector I'm talking about. We're going to get that glass disconnected. Here's a new adhesive. This is the iPhone 11 and iPhone XR. It's actually the exact same one. Just peel that off. You're going to bend this little guy up here, this little tab. Squish it on down. And you're going to align this. And you're just going to do carefully as you can. And then you're going to take your fingers and you're going to run it along here to keep it centered. Finally, take your spudger. I'm doing this very lightly at first because you're going to get little lumps like this one up here. You're just trying to tack it down some because you're going to remove this layer of plastic, at least with this version. And that's going to be a lot easier to work with. So I'm just trying to make sure that it comes out easily. Now we can do the actual full rub. I can take this out, probably right here. Yeah? Yeah. Now if it starts to pull away the adhesive along with it, just let it go and then push down again, give it another rub, and then try again. Let's get that screen back inside. Now we can finally connect up the battery, which is done. And now let's put our plates back in. Now before closing this up, I do like to make a final test. I want to make sure everything's good and happy. Now sometimes it doesn't show you the new battery percentage right away. And that's fine. If that happens, what you're going to do is you're going to turn the phone off and let it charge a bit. Battery health, 100%. Now you're just going to line these up right here. Just make sure it's good and pressed up against there. There you have it. Do not forget to put the pentalobe screws in place. They don't need to be extremely tight. You don't want to strip these. There we go. I'm just going to plug it in now because it is very low on power. You're going to want to charge this up to 100% for its first use, just to make sure the battery is good and healthy. Now it's all done and dusted. Thank you guys all for watching. If you liked the video, please do leave a like, and if you really want some more of my stuff, subscribe. We'll see you guys all in another video. Bye.